What's going on, guys? Ben from JK Gear and Gadgets. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Today is the day. We are putting 37s on the Gladiator. Hopefully you saw my review on the 35s. I had them on for a month. They've done amazing, but it's time to step it up a little notch and throw some 37s on there. Plus, these 35s are actually from the LJ over there. We got to put them back on there. I've been hinting this wheel and tire setup for a while now in a couple past videos. I know a lot of you guys have probably already seen them, but for those who haven't, let's check them out. The famous box, the teaser box. You guys ready to finally see the new wheels? Jeez, it keeps going. Oh man, you thought this was gonna be easy. Voila! So I think these are gonna look amazing. These are the Vision Manx 2. Manx, M-A-N-X 2. I don't know how to say it, but these things are sweet and it's gonna look amazing on the Jeep. Now for the tires, what'd we go with? Right here, Yokohama Geolander XATs. So these are actually their new all-terrains. I mean, they do look like an all-terrain compared to a mud terrain. So hopefully by now you guys can clearly tell that I like Yokohama tires. They work well, they're quiet, and they last a long time. I have the XMTs on the JK over here in a 40. Those things are amazing. I've had the G003 Geolanders, they're standard mud terrains. I actually had those on the JK and 37s a long time ago. Then I got these for the LJ, and now they're been on here for a month. But I figured that all terrains would be a great setup for this truck because honestly, this is gonna see more time on the road opposed to hardcore off-road. So yes, they are 37s. Yes, they're an all-terrain, which is kind of a weird combo. Usually all-terrains and 37s don't go together, but at least they're not 40s. So I'm excited to see how these things work. I don't know anybody that has them, but knowing Yokohama, they're gonna be pretty good. And honestly, they look pretty cool. So that is enough talking. What are we gonna do in this video? We are mounting the 37s onto the Gladiator. I'm hoping it'll fit with no issues. We do have the TerraFlex 1.5 inch leveling kit up front, but it's gonna be tight. So first things first, we're not just gonna take this to a tire shop and get it mounted. That would be way too boring and you wouldn't learn anything. So let's pack this up and I'm gonna show you how to mount your own wheels and tires. Now I know that most of you aren't gonna have access to a tire machine or a tire shop, but I figured you might find it a little bit interesting to see how it's actually done and some little tips and tricks if for some reason you ever wanna do it yourself. Let's go do it. First thing we're going to do is center the wheel on the machine and press the foot switch so it holds it in place. Grab a new valve stem and our valve stem tool and pop it through the wheel until it sits in place. We're going to go ahead and spray the wheel with soapy water on both sides as well as the rim. Throw the tire on the wheel and make sure the yellow dot on the tire is lined up with the valve stem on the wheel. Now what I'm doing here, it's hard to see, but I have the bottom edge of the tire underneath and the other side over top, and we spin the wheel so it pops on. Once again, align those two dots. Put the leading edge underneath, and as you'll tell here in a minute, I try to get that upper edge over top of it, but sometimes, depending on the machine, it can be a little difficult. Spin it a little bit and hopefully it pops in place. There we go. The tire's mounted to the wheel. We're going to remove our valve core and start airing up the tire to seat the bead. Noticed by the big pop. Reinstall our valve core and the tire's mounted. Next up, it's time to balance the wheels. We're gonna find the appropriate cone based on our wheel hub bore size. Put it on the machine and mount our tire. Tighten down our wheel and tire combination. Select either stick-on weights or clamp-on weights. Follow the directions on the screen and locate where we're gonna put our wheel weights. Enter our selection and repeat. next up is to spin the tire and see how much weight we're gonna need. As you can tell, not too bad. 2.5 and 2 1/4. The laser tells us exactly where we need to put each weight. Spin it again to make sure everything's good to go. Sweet. So I hope you enjoyed that little behind the scenes look on how to mount tires. I know that's not going to be, relevant to most of you, but there's a few key factors I want you to take away from it. Yes, you can mount 37s. A lot of tire shops are going to say, oh, we can't mount that big of a tire. Our machine can't handle it. Usually that's a load of BS because they don't want to deal with it. Secondly, tire balancing. All of these actually balanced out, all of them under 5 ounces. Some, I think there were a few of them that were like 3 ounce, one was 4, and the other one was like 5. The biggest thing is that if a shop says, oh, it takes way too much weight to balance, make sure that this yellow dot on the tire is lined up with your valve stem on the wheel. So if you get a lazy tech and he mounts it over here and it's not lined up, of course it's gonna take more weight to balance because that's what those dots are for. The wheel is drilled right in that location for a reason and the tire is marked there for a reason. They balance out each other. So that is enough talking. It is time to go ahead and put these bad boys on the Jeep. Let's do it. It is insane what 2 inches will do. All jokes put aside, this thing looks massive compared to the 35 in the rear. But there's one thing I want to mention real quick. These Vision wheels, the Manx 2, they're just simulated bead locks. They're not actual bead locks. Personally, for this truck, we're not going to be doing any hardcore trails. I don't see the point of bead locks. 1, they're heavier. 2, they're going to require more maintenance. And honestly, there's just no need for those on this vehicle. Now on the JK, that's a trail rig, and a daily driver. But bead locks make sense on that. So these are not actual bead locks, they're simulated. And you can actually get these wheels without this bead lock ring or the simulated bead lock ring if you want. I'll throw both in the video description so you can check them out. But let's get back to it. Let's finish these other 3 and see what the Jeep looks like. Go home where you belong. The 37s are on the Gladiator. They look great and they actually drive really, really good. So I've actually had these mounted on the Jeep going on a week now. Almost 800 miles on these tires and wheels. The whole 37 combo actually works a lot better than I thought on the Gladiator. So in this video, to finish it up, we're gonna talk about all this stuff. I'm not gonna hit every single point too hard because I still have to make videos on all this stuff. And if I talked way too far in depth about each one of these situations, this video would be like half an hour long. But the backstory, I actually put these 37s on last week. The hurricane came through and luckily we didn't get hit bad, but we did get a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and it was not good weather to come out here and finish up this video. So this weekend, Cassie and I decided to, test out these tires. We hit the road, went out to the mountains. It was about a 3.5, 4 hour drive. Took the kids and we had some fun. We actually did a little bit of different type of rock crawling. We went hiking, which I haven't been hiking in a long time. We took the kids hiking in the woods, down some trails. They had a lot of fun and we actually went out and saw a pretty cool waterfall. They were amazed by that. And overall just had a fun family weekend. And I think that's what's really important, guys. When you're building a Jeep or some type of vehicle that you want to go explore, make sure you can still build it family friendly. And I think that's my goal for this Jeep. Hence one of the reasons why I went with an all-terrain tire. So let's get back to this. What did we go with and why did we do it? And how does it do if we're actually driving it and using it like we should? So here we have our beautiful visual representation. As you can tell, 37's on a JT. Now, first things first, the Vision Manx 2. Those are the wheels I went with. They are 17-inch wheel, 9 inches wide, and it is actually the JK bolt pattern. So this wheel is gonna work for a JK, JL, or UJT owners. It's a -12 offset, which is actually a 4.5-inch backspacing. So let's see how that actually looks. It sticks out about 2 inches, you know, nothing crazy. It's not sticking out way too wide where we're getting that real funny look, but it's actually perfect because with 37's and a -12 offset or 4.5-inch backspace, we actually don't rub anything. Granted, I only have a 1.5-inch lift up front here. It's just the spacer lift, but it raises it up. And with 37's, it actually works great. No rubbing, mostly daily driving. I haven't taken this on any hardcore rock trail, so I don't know if we're gonna rub up front when we're fully articulated, but we will see in future videos. Now in the rear here, this is completely stock. No lift, nothing. 37's definitely do have ample room back here with nothing in the bed. Now, if we loaded the bed down, this is gonna sag. Once we go over bumps, it might start rubbing a little bit. But the 37's with no lift, especially in the rear, it makes them look a lot bigger. It gives it a nice sporty look. Why did I go with these wheels, the Vision wheels? I actually have them, the bead locks on my JK, and they've worked really well. And the great thing about the Vision wheels is they're affordable. So this setup right here, the Vision Manx 2, are actually only around $150 to $160 a piece, which honestly is not too bad at all. It's affordable, they look great, and I mean, they're a good style wheel and they fit. So that hit everything that I really wanted. I wanted 4.5-inch backspacing, wanted a 17-inch wheel that was affordable. Those fit the bill perfectly. Now, why in the world did I go with all-terrain tires? I wanted 37's, I knew that. This truck needs 37's, first off to look right, and secondly to be able to get on some of the harder trails, not even harder, just like moderate trails. I think we're gonna need the 37's. But this Jeep, or this truck, whatever you wanna call it, is gonna see more time on the road. We're gonna be doing more family trips, more daily driving, and honestly, I figured that all-terrains would fit this style perfectly. These are the brand new Yokohama all-terrains. They're actually pretty aggressive for an all-terrain. You know, let's go compare them to a mud tire real quick. So these are mud tires we pulled off. As you can tell, you know, standard mud tire. But let's just pull these up beside each other. You know, so of course, mud tire, we're gonna have, you know, big gaps. We do have the sight beam, but the lugs are nice and spaced apart so it can clean the mud out. Whereas your all-terrain definitely is closer. But if you look at them side by side, for an all-terrain, this is still pretty aggressive. Once I saw those, I figured it was kind of a no-brainer. I've had great experiences with the Yokohamas in the past. I was already looking for an all-terrain, but I still want an all-terrain where we can go in the mud, go in the rocks, and get some good grip. And they were extremely quiet on our trip. I got these up to 80-something miles an hour, and you could not hear them at all. For the short time I've had them, I'm very impressed. They're quiet on the road, they're pretty affordable, and hopefully they'll last long and do well off-road, but we will see in the future. Now, what else is good about these tires? So they are 37 by 12.5 on a 17. The load rating is a D, which is nice because this is a, you know, it is a light truck, but if we are going to start hauling stuff or possibly towing, a D or E tire is what we're really going to want. They are 8-ply, that's part of the D rating. And overall, I don't know, I'm excited to see how they do. We will be testing them in the future off-road. Once we get our new wheels, our new tires, 37's, whether it's a, you know, the JT or a JL, there's two big things we're really going to have to do. Actually, mostly one is to recalibrate our tire size. I'll go ahead and say that this is not completely mandatory. I drove without calibrating these for 2 days just to see how bad the shift points were off and everything, and they were definitely off, and the speedometer was off at 60. My speedometer saying 60, I was actually going 66. So it's important to recalibrate. Easiest way to do it, and overall in the long run, the best way to do it is to use the Taser JL. So this thing is gonna be a video within itself, hopefully coming up soon. I have it installed in the Jeep, testing it out, learning all the cool features. But if we go up to 37's, we are going to need a Taser JL, which is made by Z Automotive, that's just what they called it. It's gonna recalibrate our tire size to bring our speedometer back on point, our shift points back in point for you automatic transmission people, and overall, it's just gonna make the Jeep happy. What I also did was disable the Tpms, because with these new wheels and tires, I did not reinstall the Tpms sensors. I left them on those wheels so I can sell them and get a little more money for them. When people buy takeoffs, they like to have the factory Tpms sensors in there. And personally, if I want to check my air pressure, I'll just get out and hop out with a gauge. And coming up next, once we start talking about gears, we can input our new gear ratio if we change our gears. So, how is the power with the 37s? Honestly, it is not bad. I had myself, Cassie, the two kids, a cooler, and some other stuff in the back this weekend, and we were running 80 miles an hour, 85, 70, all over the place. And with 37s, it's a definite, you can tell there's a loss of power. Granted, I do have the Rubicon and we're running 410 gears. This Jeep with the 8-speed automatic transmission just does amazing. And with the 37s, it actually did pretty good. Now, I will say, if you're running a really heavy wheel and tire combo, so if you're running bead blocks and some really crazy mud terrains that are super heavy, you're definitely gonna notice an even bigger power loss. But honestly, I think that with 37s, it's kind of the breakover limit to re-gear or not re-gear. It's not horrible with 410s, so we'll keep it for a while until we do a re-gearing video on the Gladiator. Now, if for some reason you hate the 410s and 37s combo, what options do you have? You could re-gear to a 456 or a 488. Some people talk about re-gearing to 513s. I think that's gonna put your RPMs up way too high for 37s with this 8-speed transmission. So if you're looking to re-gear for 37s, I would recommend 488s. That's probably what I'm gonna do here in the future. Now, if you do drive this a lot of daily driving, a lot of highway driving, a 456 might suit your needs. If you know you're staying at 37s and you're not going to be adding a bunch of weight with a bumper, a winch, a bed rack, all that stuff. If you're doing that, or just, you might go up to a 40, go with 488s. I'll talk about more of this in a future video. Brake upgrades. Since we moved up to a bigger tire, do we need to upgrade the brakes? I don't know. I don't think so. This thing is stopping amazingly. It already has a lot bigger brakes than the JL and other, model Jeeps. Like the JK had tiny brakes. This thing stops amazing, even with the 37s. Personally, the brake upgrades, I think that's only going to be towards the people that are looking for a really performance drive, or if you plan on towing with this setup. So we'll look at some other brake upgrades soon. Right now on the market, there's honestly not that many because it already comes from the factory with pretty good brakes. So we'll take a look at that. I don't think it really needs it for daily driving and off-roading at all. Axle upgrades. Since we moved up to a 37, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna truss? Are we gonna gusset? Are we gonna add new axle shafts? The JL front axle is actually pretty strong. It's the new generation Dana 44, and the rear is too. And those come standard on the Gladiator, whether you have a Rubicon Sport or Overland, they all come with the Dana 44. That still does not mean that we're gonna have an issue bending our axle, breaking an axle shaft. 37s are a big tire. Everybody and their mom is running them nowadays. That does not mean they're a big tire that needs reinforcement. So in the future, I will be showing you guys how to add a truss, how to weld on gussets, and axle shafts. I don't know, we'll see about those. I think axle shafts on these are pretty strong for 37s. As for lift, I still don't know what we're gonna do. The front has an 1.5" Terraflex spacer lift. The rear definitely needs something. As you can tell, by the time we load up gear or start off-roading, it's gonna rub back here. Maybe an inch, maybe 2 inch in the rear, maybe 2 inch all around. We will see. But overall, 37s on the Jeep Gladiator. They work well, they look amazing. And honestly, I think it opens up a whole new realm of possibilities for this truck, whether it's overlanding, off-roading some mild trails, or even starting to get into more hardcore trails. Like always, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions, go down in the comments, let me know, and stay tuned for more videos. I think the Jeep's looking pretty good and we still have a long way to go. However, it is almost time to get back working on the JK. I know a lot of you guys were wondering when I'm going to do the long arm video series. That is coming up soon. It is going to be a little bit different than I've talked about in the past. I'm running out of time for a special event that I have not talked about on the channel yet, but stay tuned for that. More info on everything coming up soon. But the next thing we're doing to the JK is going to be long arms, 3-link, front and rear. Stay tuned. Peace.